Wow, what a season the 2024 F1 Championship turned out to be. McLaren came roaring back after their rough start in Miami, finally giving Max Verstappen a proper fight for the championship. Lando Norris, with his dazzling speed, kept fans on the edge of their seats all season. But let's be real, Lando was often his own worst enemy. Silly mistakes cost him crucial points, and in the end, Max triumphed again. No surprises there. He showed once again why he's one of the greatest talents in F1, and his consistency was unmatched. But just when we thought the drama was over, Red Bull has dropped a bombshell. Sergio Perez is officially leaving Formula One, and guess who's taking his seat? Liam Lawson, a rookie with barely 2 months of F1 experience. This is a huge shakeup, and honestly, kind of embarrassing for Yuki Tsunoda. Poor Yuki has been patiently waiting for his chance at the senior team for 4.5 years. He's beaten 3 different teammates during that time, proving he has the skill. Yet Red Bull overlooks all of that and chooses Lawson, a guy with just a couple of months in F1. It's a slap in the face for Yuki, who's been loyal to Red Bull for so long. He's been putting in the hard work, gaining experience, and consistently delivering solid performances. But that doesn't seem to be enough. Red Bull's decision is a clear message that they're focusing more on fresh talent, regardless of loyalty or experience. Let's dive into why this happened and what it means for both Yuki and Red Bull. Let's face it, Perez's 2024 season was a disaster. The guy hasn't stood on the podium since the Chinese GP. That's embarrassing for a team like Red Bull, especially since they rely on both drivers to secure the Constructors' Championship. And guess what? They lost it this year. Not just to one team, but 2. They ended up P3 in the Constructors, which is a monumental fall from grace for a team used to dominating. Red Bull's reputation has taken a serious hit, and with Max Verstappen's brilliance on track, they simply couldn't afford to have Perez dragging them down. Losing the championship cost Red Bull millions of dollars in prize money and sponsorship deals. They even lost some key personnel because of their underperformance. The financial hit is significant, but it's also about the team's image. Red Bull thrives on winning, and when they fall short, the ripple effect is real. Sure, Perez brings in massive investments from Carlos Slim and other sponsors, but money isn't everything in F1. Red Bull needs results. They need a driver who can consistently score points and back Max up on race days. Perez just wasn't cutting it anymore, and when a team like Red Bull can't rely on its second driver, the decision to move on becomes inevitable. This isn't just about one bad season, it's about Red Bull's future in F1, and they simply couldn't afford to stick with a driver who wasn't delivering the goods. So, firing Perez makes sense, he just wasn't reliable anymore, and Red Bull needs to make sure they stay at the top. It's harsh, but it's the reality of a results-driven sport like Formula One. Here's a driver who only made his F1 debut in Singapore after Daniel Ricciardo was abruptly let go, and now he's being catapulted to one of the most coveted seats on the grid. It's an absolutely meteoric rise, but for a lot of fans, there's a feeling of confusion and a bit of disbelief. While Lawson's talent has certainly been on display during his brief F1 stint, it's hard to ignore the fact that Yuki Tsunoda, who's been loyal to the Red Bull program for 4 long years, is still waiting for his big break. Let's break it down. Yuki has been with Red Bull's junior program since 2019, working his way up through the ranks and making it to the senior team in 2021. Over the years, he's faced some real challenges. Despite a difficult start and a few stumbles, Tsunoda has consistently shown improvement. He's been one of the most honest, down-to-earth drivers in F1, never afraid to speak his mind while putting in the work to improve on track. He's been through 3 different teammates during his time at AlphaTauri, and each time, he's come out on top. Yuki has proven himself by consistently outperforming his teammates. And then there's Honda, Red Bull's engine partner, which has been incredibly vocal in its support of Yuki. They've pushed for Tsunoda's promotion to the senior team, recognizing his potential and his connection with the brand. Honda has backed him from day one, even when he was still finding his feet in F1. They've been a key part of Yuki's journey and have been adamant that he deserves a chance at the big league, especially with their partnership with Red Bull in the new era of hybrid engines. However, Red Bull has seemingly turned a blind eye to all of this, favoring a rookie who had just 2 months of F1 experience over a driver who's been loyal to the program and has delivered solid performances. It's a massive slap in the face for Yuki Tsunoda and his fans, especially considering how hard he's worked and how patient he's been. What makes this even more frustrating for Yuki is that Red Bull has claimed that experience is the key factor for promotions. Yet they've chosen a rookie over someone who's had several years to prove himself. This decision has left many scratching their heads. This situation has left fans and pundits alike questioning Red Bull's decision-making process. Yuki's journey in F1 has been marked by challenges, but he's continued to show resilience and determination. Yet, despite all of that, Red Bull has chosen to promote someone with far less experience, a move that many feel is not just a mistake, but a deep snub to one of their most loyal drivers. The entire situation leaves fans wondering, what does Yuki have to do to get a fair shot? And why is Red Bull willing to gamble on someone with so little experience when they have a proven, albeit sometimes inconsistent, driver right under their nose? Here's the thing, Yuki's F1 career exists largely because of Honda's backing. When Honda partnered with Red Bull, they pushed to bring Yuki into F1, and Red Bull obliged. Honda saw something in Yuki early on, believing he had the potential to shine on the world stage. They weren't just giving him a seat, they were betting on him to be the next big thing in motorsport. But now that Honda is leaving Red Bull to join Aston Martin, it seems like Red Bull doesn't feel the need to keep Yuki around. They've already begun to move in a different direction, and Yuki has been left on the sidelines despite his dedication and hard work. In recent interviews, Christian Horner mentioned that the team wants experience in their junior program to help develop young talent like Isaac Hajar. And guess who they think fits that role? Yuki. Red Bull says they're focusing on promoting rookies, just like they did with Vettel, Max, and Ricciardo back in the day. However, this approach doesn't really take into account the amount of time Yuki has invested in the Red Bull program, nor does it factor in the results he has shown in his time at AlphaTauri. He's been patient, waiting for his shot, and now Red Bull is going all in on new faces, leaving him behind in the dust. Is not fair, but Red Bull's logic is cold and calculated. They believe Yuki's temper and fiery personality could potentially lead to on-track clashes with Max Verstappen, and that's the last thing they want. After all, Max is the golden boy of the team, and anything that might upset the balance within the team would be a huge risk. With Max dominating, Red Bull needs a teammate who can quietly play the support role and help secure those crucial points in the Constructors' Championship. Yuki, with his aggressive style and fiery temperament, may be seen as a potential disruptor to that harmony, and that's the last thing Red Bull is willing to tolerate. They want someone who can fit into the team dynamics and not cause any problems. So Yuki's been sidelined, and Red Bull seems to have no intention of giving him a shot at the senior team. Despite all of his hard work, his potential, and the support from Honda, it seems like Red Bull has written him off. This isn't just about his on-track performance, it's about managing the team's atmosphere, keeping Max happy, and making sure no one rocks the boat. Unfortunately for Yuki, it's not just about being fast anymore. It's about fitting into the bigger picture that Red Bull has painted for the future. So what's next for Yuki Tsunoda? His fans and Honda are encouraging him to leave the Red Bull family altogether and join Aston Martin. With Honda powering Aston Martin's cars in the near future, Yuki could have more influence and a better shot at success there. Aston Martin is on the rise, rapidly improving and showing they have the potential to challenge the big teams. With Honda's support behind them, Yuki might find himself in a more competitive environment where his talents can truly shine. He could become a key player at Aston Martin. But is that the right move? Leaving Red Bull would be a bold decision, and Aston Martin is still working their way up the grid. While they've made significant strides in recent seasons, they are still some distance from challenging the top teams consistently. It's a gamble, no doubt, but it might be the fresh start Yuki needs to prove his worth in a less structured environment. Red Bull's dominance has been a double-edged sword for Yuki. While the junior team has given him a platform to develop, the pressure of being a Red Bull driver has overshadowed his growth. Aston Martin could offer him the chance to thrive without the immense weight of expectations hanging over him. This driver drama isn't just a Red Bull problem, it's a reminder that F1 is as much about politics and strategy as it is about speed. The decisions made by teams are often based on complex factors beyond a driver's talent, including sponsorship deals, team dynamics, and future plans. Yuki's situation perfectly highlights how these off-track elements can impact a driver's career, regardless of their performance on track. The cutthroat nature of F1 leaves little room for sentiment, and for a driver like Yuki, whose future has always been linked with the backing of Honda, these decisions feel even more personal. Whatever Yuki decides, One thing's for sure, the 2025 season is already shaping up to be a thriller. The driver market will be as competitive as ever, with shifting allegiances, new opportunities, and potentially career-defining moves. Will Yuki rise to the occasion and make a fresh start at Aston Martin, or will he stay loyal to Red Bull, hoping for one last shot at the senior team? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. This is far from over, and Yuki's next chapter in F1 could be more exciting than anyone